I guess we're going to have to do it this way.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, we're having to stream in portrait mode because for some reason it won't see the landscape. So if it looks bad, I apologize. Wish I could have figured it out. But we're looking at your top of the hour yet? Cool. All right. Cool. Well, I got my son here. He's helped me. He's my he's my video guy.
Hello.
He kind of looks like a video guy, doesn't he?
It's the hair.
I got my wife on the phone. She's going to read your questions to me, and I'll try and answer the best I can. Using the cell phone this time. Last time, if you remember, we did the laptop, and it was kind of, it worked, but whatever. I got me some notes so I can talk about some things. The plan today is I'm going to do a bottle opener out of skateboards. Recycled skateboard is going to look like this. Well, similar to this. I figured last time I tried to do a hollow form and get it done within 60 minutes, and that just didn't work. So we're going to do something a little more simple. I did one this morning. It took about 30 minutes to make, and I figure between us answering questions and talking about the process a little bit, we can get the whole thing done in an hour. So hopefully we're good there. And then I actually made one out of skateboards that are red and white on the diagonal. So it's going to look a little bit Christmassy. I'd like to say I did it intentionally, but it was just a skateboard I had on hand. We're going to do that. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about the questions that I get the most about skateboards. I obviously did not invent this process. I learned a lot from watching other YouTubers and people on Instagram about how to use skateboards for this, but the questions I get the most are, A, where do you get the skateboards? Skateboards I typically get from a skate shop. So what they'll do is kids will come in with broken boards and they'll go to the skate shop and they say, I broke my board, I need a board. Those guys will take the old board and just throw it into a bin. And then people like me will come by and ask for them. Sometimes they ask you to slip a little cash on the side, but they'll hold them for you. So if you want skateboards, broken ones, either hit up a bunch of kids on Let It Go and be a creeper, or go to the skate shop and have them pick them up for you. So process-wise, they come to me like this. Sometimes the board's just a crack in the middle, but the grip tape's on there. Some of you guys have done this before. You know about this. A lot of people don't. So with the grip tape, it's literally it's a pain in the butt. It's probably my least favorite thing to do. So I get a razor and get up underneath there and get started, and then I get a heat gun and I heat up the glue that's holding the grip tape down. I get a little dowel and I can wrap it around there. You guys have seen, if you've watched me on Instagram, you've seen some of the process with getting that grip tape off using a dowel and a drill. But you got to pull that grip tape off, get it all the way off. After it's off, all that gooey residue is left behind, and that's a pain. You really need a clean surface in order to re-glue it all back together and get a laminated block or a blank to work with. So Goo Gone is your best friend. After you get the grip tape off and all that glue residue on there, spray it with Goo Gone, let it sit, and then use a razor and scrape off all the excess glue. It's a mess. If you're hairy like me, it'll end up in your arm hair. It would be nasty. But once you get all that off, you get something that looks similar to this. This one's actually already been sanded. So they usually have a varnish on top, even after you get the glue off. And you want to get all that varnish off, you need to get down to bare wood. So you can use a palm sander. You can use a bunch of different things. I actually use a, what do you call it? An angle iron grinder that I've converted that has some sandpaper on it, and you can get all that varnish off. Next, people that see the skateboard stuff and the finish, they don't understand how it's skateboards. They just, you tell them it's recycled skateboard, they just see a bunch of pretty colors and they don't understand. So for those that don't know, skateboards are 7 layers of maple. And then the higher end quality skateboard manufacturers, they actually dye the layers different colors. So can you see that okay?
Yeah.
All right, so there's 7 layers of maple inside there. This manufacturer dyed the top and the bottom and then left the inside natural, but that's where the skateboard colors come from. So I don't understand why they do it, because if you're looking at a skateboard from the side and somebody's riding it, you'd never know that there's different colors inside there, but there is. Like this one's orange on the bottom, natural, and then green on top. Some have a line through it with another layer of color. So once I get them all cut up, or get them all sanded down to bare raw wood, then I'll cut them into the sizes I need, whether it's going to be a bowl blank or, you know, if you've seen, I've done some pep mills out of them, those kind of things, so 3x3 squares. I'll get it all down to the bare, and then you got to glue them all back together again. So I'll use Type Bond 3, get a good glue coat on there, clamp it. If you think it's enough clamps, add more clamps. Because every skateboard manufacturer has a little bit of a different concave or convex to it, or a different angle here, a different angle there. And getting them all to line up with a solid glue joint is a pain. So get them all lined up, clamp them, and then clamp some more. Let it cure overnight, and then you have a blank. So I had a blank like this. I cut it on the die, sanded the sides, made it clean, and then flattened my edges. So that's one skateboard, just repeated pattern. You can do like this one, just a bunch of different skateboards all lined up into different patterns, and give you that rainbow effect too. So that's the process for getting them to the blank stage. Are there any questions that before I start cutting into it? Ray, can you hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so I'm going to use the pen jaws on my chuck. All I'm going to do, I'm going to load in the blank. Make it nice and snug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, there's a couple ways to do this for threading these, and this is the stopper part I'm going to use here. This is the stainless steel bottle stoppers. This is their stopper. I like it just because it's unique. People always ask, what is that? It's a bottle opener, and then the lights go off and they go, oh, that's a bottle opener, okay. But I like it because it lets the stopper stand up too on its own, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to use these threaded inserts. You can tap and die these, and I've done it that way too. And it's not a problem. It's just the fact that it's wood, and when you're tapping and dyeing wood, you know, sometimes those threads can rip out. Those kind of things. The easiest way, and sometimes it's production mode for me. I don't usually make one at a time. I usually make 5 or 6 at a time. But production mode, I use the brass inserts with the thread, the same size thread here. So I'll be using that. And then the stainless steel bottle stoppers manual too. This can be used for their bottle stoppers or their wine stoppers or the bottle openers. And then Jacob's chuck, 1/2 inch Forstner. That's the same diameter as those threaded inserts. But first, before I do any of that, I'm going to make this a little bit more concave. I want it to be concave so that when that piece sits, when the opener sits on it, it's riding the very edge versus any high spots. So you can see. Let me get my wood face shield. Yeah, I think I hung up on the note. All right. I'm about 1200 RPM right now. Alright, and what I usually do to make sure that I'm concave, I just put the tool up against it. It needs a little bit more. Cool, okay. And then what I'll do is I will drill out at depth for one of those inserts. And then let me know, guys. I'm planning on doing a CA finish on it because I think it's just a better finish, especially when you're talking about the bottle openers. But we can do a shine juice finish if we want to. It's not that it doesn't hold up; it makes it super shiny. I think the CA finish is a little shinier. But I do get a lot of questions about shine juice. I know there's videos out there about how to use shine juice, but I can show you what I do. So leave some comments. If you want to do a CA finish, we'll do a CA finish. If you want to do shine juice, we'll change gears and do shine juice. We'll probably wrap up faster with shine juice, but either way. Anyway, so I put on mine, I put a little bit of a marker on there so I know how to drill to depth, so I get that recess. I typically, anytime I'm drilling something out, I have a preset in my lathe for 500. I always drill at 500 so it doesn't get too hot. Okay, so we've got one person saying CA. 2 people. I'm start doing the count. 1. And we're going to have a little bit of downtime while we wait for glue to dry and fun stuff like that, so I can probably answer questions then. So usually what I'll do is I'll half thread it on here a little bit and make sure my depth is good. And it's recessed all the way. It's actually got a little bit, it's proud, I mean the wood's proud of it a little bit. I'm a big fan of medium CA for this. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit in here first. We don't want too much because if it starts getting those threads inside here, if it drips down in, you kind of screwed up there. So what I'll do to make it perfectly as center as possible, I'll put my live center back in. I'll put a little bit of glue on here. All right. And then I'll use my live center to put it in perfectly flush. It's already flush because of the way that hole is drilled, but I don't know, just things I like to do. A little bit of drippage. And just so everybody knows, I asked you if we should do CA first or if we should do shine juice first. Don't let this affect your judgment, but I'm actually really allergic to CA glue. So when we do the CA part, I'll have to put a respirator on. I won't be able to talk, but it'll keep me from choking my sleep tonight. So. Okay. And I will let it sit for a little bit more, though I don't want to be presumptive here. I'm just making sure those threads are clear, that it didn't get any CA in those threads that's going to gum us up. I think we're good. That's it for that minute. Ask me some questions so it's not a bunch of dead space while I'm waiting for that CA glue to dry. Come on, guys. If you guys are going to make a lot of these, whether they're bottle stoppers or the bottle openers, this mandrel has been awesome. Before I was using a Jacob's chuck, and I had a threaded piece inside of it, inside there, and I was trying to line it up. And this thing, just make sure when you buy it, if you buy one, just buy it at the right thread size, obviously, for your lathe. And I think they have 2 different ones. They have one they call an aftermarket one, and that one is not the same thread. It's for aftermarket things like I think the Woodcraft pizza cutter or something like that that has that. But this one is the standard that works with the bottle openers. Let's see. You want to close up the blank. So tell me how close we are. Are we good? My cameraman is telling me. Good? All right. So that's what it looks like on the inside with that threaded, that knurled. And then this is what it looks like. I'm hoping, and this is going to be cheesy, but I'm hoping we kind of get a a candy cane style look. You love that blank. Is it QE you said? Awesome. You're watching narrow vertical, James, because for some reason when I told my phone to go live, it said put it into landscape mode, and I did. And I kept telling it to go into landscape mode over and over again, and it didn't matter. It said, huh?
Try again.
Yeah, actually, we'll try again real quick. We'll try and move it to landscape mode and see if it'll adjust. But it was staying in portrait.
Landscape mode.
Is it landscape or is it just?
So,
Is it now still sideways?
how's it look now? You get it all?
Is it sideways? What kind of respirator? I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I'm gonna put a little bit more glue in here because I don't think it got really good. Is it still in landscape mode or is it in? Yeah, I can't unlock it because it's an Android and it usually just does it on its own. I don't know why it's being a pain.
Sorry.
And anybody that's an iPhone person, say your comments.
It's all my fault.
I'm a
It's the camera guy's
diehard-
fault.
Die-hard Android guy. All right. I'm sorry, what was the question two? Oh, the respirator. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I first got into turning, the first thing I turned was a pen, and obviously went right for the CA finish type scenario. Didn't put two and two together. I kept turning more pens and doing all sorts of stuff with pens, and then I kept having these respiratory issues, and it wouldn't happen while I was turning. It would happen 6, 7 hours later. I'd start wheezing, and I'd start coughing, and my throat would close, and it just, I thought maybe I'm allergic to some of the exotic woods that I was turning or something. I don't know. I went on Facebook groups and was asking people, and nobody had any good answers. And then I started turning something other than pens for a while, and the problem went away. And I thought I just got over it. And then I turned a pen again and did a CA finish on it. And then all of a sudden I had the problem again. So the light bulb went off and I realized it was CA glue. It's the fumes that I'm allergic to. So I got this Breathe Buddy respirator, and it's got a chemical filtration in there because normal filtration is not going to keep those CA fumes out of there. I don't know if anybody else have these problems. So I hate to waste your time, but I'm waiting for glue to dry anyways. But the respirator is the 701A1, and that's the chemical filtration up underneath there. So when I wear this, I still could get some issues if I'm doing a lot of CA work, but it really cuts back on having nasty issues. Oh. Thank you, Cammy. They're really toxic to me. I know some people that do full pieces and they coat it in CA and life is good for them, but not for me. This is a special tool that I developed. It's patent pending. It's called a piece of scrap wood.
Oh my gosh.
So instead of trying to put a divot in my piece, and I've seen, for you guys that are on Instagram, I've seen Amby posting, she's been posting a lot about, what is it called, rubber chucky. I'm going to look into those because I like to use this piece that I think I've had for 2.5 years, and I use it over and over again. And I just put it on there so it holds my blank in place, but it's not putting my live center a divot into it. Okay. So I'm going to about 2,000, about 2K on the RPMs. Okay. Any other questions so far? Okay. Let me show this real quick. So the other cool thing about this mandrel is that diameter is the exact same diameter as the actual piece itself. So I know if I'm getting close to there, I don't have to worry about other guides or anything like that. I just know when I'm getting close to there, I'm on top of it. Where's my cameraman here? He's fancy. All right. I think I'm good. I'll finish roughing this out and start getting in shape, and then I'll answer my gentleman because it's actually a funny story. In my shaping, you guys can do a bunch of different things, obviously. On the shaping, I like to have a little bit of recess, and then I like to have a bump out, just so something that your hand can wrap around or butt into. And then as far as this one to me, actually, I made it this morning to see how long it would take me to make one. This one to me is a little bit long, but typically what I like to do is, and I got big old fat kind of gorilla hands, but I like to make sure that at least it's coming through the bottom here. So if I were going to make another one of these, just like this one, I'll probably take maybe 3/4 of an inch off. This one I'm going to leave kind of chunky, and leave it the way it is, so hopefully it's much more proportionate. The other thing too is, if you notice, I did the pull cuts over here, because the way skateboards are, it's basically plywood. So you've got all these different grains going 15 different directions. And if I'm cutting this way, I'm going downhill, and I'm running to the back end here, it'll blow out on the back side on that top layer. So then you get a bunch of nasty, it's not tear out, it's just blowout, because of the plywood on the front side. So a lot of pull cuts on this side. I'll end up doing pull cuts coming the other way side, because of the way that grain and all the different grains are running that way. So that's where you'll see where a lot of that's going to come. Kind of got a candy cane look. It's kind of cool. All right, I'm happy with that. So what I'll do a lot of times on these is I won't even touch the bottom with the tool, because that separation or that distance coming out from the mandible, it gets a lot of flex, and if you start getting into it with the tool, the fact that this is layered, and remember too, these are broken skateboards. So I used to be a skater back in the day. I broke my fair share. I'm too old and fat now to skate, so don't ask. But these kids, like myself back then, trash these boards. So sometimes you get micro cracks in there, and it's not so much that you glued up a bad blank or you didn't get a glue joint. The crack could actually be in the deck itself. So when I'm doing the skateboard stuff, I'll try and minimize as much as possible, messing with things like cutting on the outside, on the far edge, at this distance, because if there's a slight fracture somewhere inside one of these boards that is just not really noticeable, the second I hit it with the tool the wrong way, it's going to snap, and I just wasted my time. So a lot of times I just shape the outside with some sandpaper. I'll give it a rough shape, and then I'll do it with sandpaper. You'll see what I'm talking about in a little bit. Okay. Actually, I'll still do some sidewalk surfing, but I'm not going to try and do any kickflips or anything stupid.
Like next death video.
The next death?
Death video. Live video.
Yeah, exactly. Next live video will be me on a skateboard going to the hospital. I don't know about you guys, but I'm creeping up on, I got 50 and coming up here pretty soon. Well, not soon, a couple years. But still. The other thing too is because it's basically plywood, and it's going 15 different directions, your tools get dull super fast. Okay. How do you guys like that shape? We good? You want to mess with it some more? I think this is good. It's kind of beefy. You get that variation. Little lip there. All right, cool. All right, so this is my favorite part. I know people think this is crazy. They don't like sanding. I actually love sanding. And I love sanding because I use the what do you call it, sander? I love that. So I'm going to start out with 180. I'm going to take it down to about 1200. This is where I should be mirroring the mask, but I'm not going to, because this is the part where I'm going to tell you guys about how I see the channel name of Soko Joko. It is so not exciting, but it's kind of a funny story. So my young cameraman here is my son. He's 22 now, and his younger sister just turned 21. And years ago, they got Instagram channels, and they started on Instagram, and I wanted to be a good parent and follow them on social media and make sure that they weren't doing anything stupid or inappropriate, or somebody wasn't saying something that shouldn't be to them, you know. And so I wanted to set up an account. So I went on to the Instagrams, not knowing what Instagram was. And what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm at 180. I'm going to put a little sanding seal on it just to raise the grain, and then sand it. I'm actually going to sand it in reverse. So I went to go set up an Instagram account. And it had you, you know, select a name when you're setting up the account. And I'm not an ignorant IT guy. I'm not, you know, I understand technology. I've been into it for a while. Actually, my full-time job is in healthcare technology. But I hadn't been on Instagram. So I typed in, like, I don't know, I think I typed in my initials, or I typed in Michael or something stupid, just because I wanted to set up a name real quick so I could go spy on my kids. And everything I selected was chosen. So I was getting annoyed, and up on the bar counter or the kitchen counter was some Southern Comfort, which if you watched any other videos, you saw a Southern Comfort bottle in there, which people made fun of because it's Southern Comfort, but it actually has something to do with the name. So I said, oh, okay, SoCo. I'll try SoCo. Is that a good name? And I tried SoCo on Instagram. Again, never intended to post anything, just to follow my kids. And it said taken. Well, we live in Johnson County, North Carolina, and we call it Joco. So I typed in SoCo Joco, and it took it. And so I just had an Instagram name of SoCo Joco, just so I could spy my kids. And then I started posting woodworking. And I had nowhere to post it, so I literally just threw it up on the Instagram account. Like, oh, look, I made this, not even thinking about it. And then, as you guys know, the Instagram kind of thing grew, and that just became my name. That just became the channel, the woodworking, just became SoCo Joco. And it literally was just because I wanted to spy on my kids, and all the other names were taken. It was Southern Comfort and Johnson County, so it was SoCo Joco. It's a really long story. I hope it didn't disappoint, but it's how it all started. Who said I was a stalker?
Tell me about it.
Matt, I was a child. I was stalking my children. All right. So now I'm just going to sand in reverse a little bit and go the opposite way. Okay, so that's good enough. Switch over, that's 220. I'm going to go up to 320, go back forward again. I'm at about 2,000 RPMs now. Is that better? How about this? If I put my light more over here like that. Does that help? Okay. Yes, Jeremy. This is drinking. And oddly enough, guys, what's really funny is I don't even drink. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a beer, to be honest with you. I know that sounds lame. All right. So that's 320. We'll go to 400. How am I doing on time, by the way? Okay, so they have. Okay, so we're good. I was worried that I was going to wrap up this project way too fast, and we are going to have some downtime here coming up if we do a CA finish, just because we got to wait for that glue to set up. Alright, so we're good there. Now, I will admit, I'm a sanding sealer-aholic. I just find that, especially when I do it, I'm not doing the sawn juice because I think we all agreed to do a CA finish. But I find that when I put on a second layer of sanding sealer, before I go to 600 on my sanding, and then whatever finish I put on top of that, it just does better, especially on the shine juice. So I like to do 2 coats of sanding sealer. It may seem a bit maybe over excessive or redundant or whatever, but it works for me. And because Jordan, Mr. Bruce, thank you, sir. And I'm impatient too, so sometimes I just use friction to heat up and cure that sanding sealer real quick. These things, oh good. These things are awesome. These Abernut 2-inch, I love these things. Thanks, Danny. Now do you see why I don't hate sanding? Some just makes it so easy. Okay, we are ready for CA. As you put down my board. So here's the process that I'm going to do for the CA. Just ahead of time in case I get sidetracked, I'll tell you now. So what I typically do is I'll do a couple coats of thin CA, and then I'll hit it with some medium CA. If it's a pen, and I want it to be like super, super shiny, polished, mirror-like finish, I'll do probably 2 or 3 coats of thin CA, a coat of medium, and then after that cures, another coat of thin, and then another coat of medium, and I just build it up. But I think the medium helps a lot. This I'm not going to do this on. This is more utilitarian, and plus because of time. So I'm going to do a couple coats of thin CA, and then a coat of medium, maybe 2 coats of medium. We're going to have some downtime while we're waiting for that to cure, and then I'm going to sand it with micro mesh. And I don't go through all the grits on the micro mesh either. I'll sand it with micro mesh. You'll see that process, and then I'll polish with the Yorkshire grit. I think that does really well on CA finishes. And then if we have some more time, I may just get out the buffing wheel and we'll buff it with some Tripoli and some white diamond and make it really pop. All right, I'm gonna mask up because I don't like being sick. I feel like I can't breathe. And then I'm stepping away, but normally what I would do is I'd have my, what do you call it, my dust collection on at the same time. Sometimes I open the garage door, which is right in front of my lathe. I'll put on a fan in the background. Well, waiting for that to cure. There's my shop dog.
Grace. Hello. Hi. Say hi, Grace. Say hi. Uh-oh, here comes number 2. Hi, Mag.
All right, gonna do medium here. I'm gonna let that kind of spin for a minute. I'm probably going to hit it one more time with a thin CA afterwards, because I got a lot of medium CA on there and there's some ridges. So I'll hit it with thin CA just to level it out. Any questions while we got some downtime waiting for it to cure? And I guess Grace is going to make herself comfortable. Yes, this is my producer. This is Miss Grace. She's a little crazy. Right now we have to start our own Grace YouTube channel. I'm grabbing a drink just so I can clear my throat a bit. Sanding sealer, when it dry time is, I mean, honestly, I've seen it dry less than 5 minutes. It depends on the shop, temperature, those kind of things. It dries really quick. Must be, I'm not an expert on it. I use the Mylan sanding sealer. It's expensive, I'm not gonna lie. But once I started using it and I started seeing the benefits of doing the sanding sealer, I can see it visually, I can see it. So I use it, and I probably overuse it in some cases. But I'm sure there's some kind of accelerant in there to make it dry fast. I would say less than 5 minutes. When you do what I did, where you use friction, you heat up. My standard CA finish for something like this, yes, this would be my standard in terms of a couple of layers of thin, and then a couple coats, or a coat of medium, and then another thing of thin. But if it was a pen, and it was really, I wanted something that was like a glass-like finish, I would probably do 5 or 6 coats of CA, both thin, and then a couple of medium, and then more thin, and really build that up. Now, can you get crazy? And I don't mean crazy in a bad way, I mean in a good way. Doing a lot of CA, a lot of work and focus on the CA, yeah, you can. I tend to do, if you guys follow me at all, I tend to do more, lately especially, more hollow forms, those kind of pieces. I do some utilitarian type things, the bottle openers, not as frequently, but I don't hyper focus on those, like pens and those kind of things. But yeah, the more layers of thin CA you do, and then you get into buffing. By the way, if you guys are doing, if there's anybody out there watching and you're doing CA finishes on your pieces and you're not buffing, try it. Using the Triple E and the white diamond, you'll see, I think I saw, maybe it was probably Zach from ND Woodworks years ago. I probably saw a YouTube video of him doing buffing, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to buy a buffing set. The cost, and then I bit the bullet and I bought the wheels, and what a difference, man. Just buffing, especially on the CA finish, makes a real difference. Alright, we're going to do one more coat of thin CA and then I hit it with accelerant. Okay, so we got 15 minutes. Okay. One more. Because of the time, I'm going to accelerate this. I normally wouldn't spray it with CA with an accelerator right now, but I did, so we need to hurry up. Okay. So if you take a look now, you can see how it's kind of pitted. It's not super shiny. I mean, it's shiny, but it doesn't, you can see the actual, what do you call it, like orange peel look. So we're going to sand it. What's the question? The blue paper towels, they tend to, from what I've seen and done, they tend to put off less lint. So I like them better. So regular white paper towels, you tend to get some lint pieces come off while you're doing a CA finish. So I'm starting off, all I'm doing now is I'm leveling out that finish. And we still got to put a little bit on the tail section after I get this all cleaned up. Yeah, those are the original shop ties, the Scots. I think I get them by the case on Amazon. And right now, actually with all this going on, and we're starting to see a shortage again of paper towels and rubber gloves and toilet paper. Actually, I should have told you guys to get them on Amazon because now you're going to look at my supply. That's you or them saying? Okay. Yeah, I gotta be honest. Amazon delivers so much to my house that if they didn't have a delivery in a couple days, somebody would probably come to check on me and make sure I wasn't dead. Okay. So there's that. Now we're going to do a little bit of Yorkshire grit. And thanks to Rebecca the Group, when I saw her at AAW last year, she was doing demos for the Yorkshire grit. You guys know that she does skateboards too. And she's the one that got me introduced to this stuff. It's good stuff. I like it. I'm at about 1800 RPMs right now. Okay. Shiny, shiny. Just going to get off the rest of that. 548. We'll be able to do this. Okay. I'm going to take a pass out. This is our shiny, shiny. And then what I'm going to do now is remove my special tool. And then I'm just going to sand this side over here. And add just a thin layer of CA. Like I talked about before, sometimes it's not worth when you're that far out extended over the lathe. I mean, away from the mandrel. Take it down to about 900. Just going to sand this and give it a good feel. $180, $220. I can't help myself. I got to put a little bit of sanding sealer on it. Okay. And we'll do 320. Do 400. So now we're just going to hit it with a little bit of CA, and we'll start wrapping up. We have a couple minutes on a bar. Okay. How did the time you get in the Lathe? I'll answer. I haven't been in a school toilet in probably 30 years, so I'm not.
What school
I'm
did you
not
go
sure.
to?
If they are, to be honest, they're not cheap, unfortunately. Those tiles are not cheap. So best schools use them. These are the Scots. So I'm just going to do it this way because we're on time. And actually, it'll give me a little time to throw some buffet to it. How are we going on time? Okay, a few minutes. Okay. Now this. Put that there. I'll lock this. I'm hustling now. We should have Gabe do more camera work. Actually, I actually bought a camera for this live instead of using my cell phone. If you guys remember last time I did a live, I didn't have enough followers to go live on my mobile device, so I had to use my laptop. Now I can use my mobile device, but for some reason it's staying in vertical mode, won't go into, what do you call it? Oh no! Won't go into. But the camera I bought to do this, the thing I did today on it, because I didn't have time all week, it just wouldn't work. It wasn't right. I'm about 1,600 RPMs, a little tripling. Always point down while you're doing this. Ask me why I know. I've actually, a neighbor was in the driveway one day, or at the bottom of the driveway, walking by with a dog, and I was bumping something, I wasn't paying attention, and I grabbed a hold of it, and it launched it at my dog. So keep it moving, don't stay in one spot when you're buffing. With the whole piece. That's the Tripoli. We did, Kenny. We were in landscape mode before starting the live stream. And when I said start, it said, do you want to continue in portrait mode? And I was like, no, I said landscape. And it just would not convert over. So I don't know what all of that. Nor do I know where my white diamond is. Yeah, I don't know what to do, Ken. It was annoying. It kept telling me, are you sure you want to go into You want to go live in portrait mode?
Making me look bad, YouTube.
I know. I don't know what that was all about. What? I know. Alright. This is being weird, I don't know why. Okay. Anyway, we had another John Jordan at his demonstration with AEW today, and it is 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock our time. Little white diamond. So we got a little bit of time, which is good. I'll assemble this, but I don't want to forget. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for interacting with us, asking me questions, helping me out with the downtime. Next up is Billy Vinny too. He's a buddy of mine, and he's going live right after me. I've got his link in the description of this video, so go click on it and check out his video as well, or his live. And that's it. That is what I should probably do is crack a beer, but I don't have one. So that's the bottle opener made with recycled skateboards. Thank you. Does that wash it out? You see that shine? That reflection in that maple is what I love. And it's hard to see unless the light's on. Cool. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll do another one of these, either with these gentlemen here. Again, thanks Carl and Jamie. I know they want to spread the wealth and get a bunch of different people involved. Thinking about doing some other ones in the future. I tend to do a lot of holoforms, so I think watching somebody do a holoform over and over again is not as exciting. So I'll have to come up with some ideas. If you have ideas, message me and maybe we'll do something fun. If you guys want to see more skateboard stuff, I can put some of those pieces together too. But that's it. That's what I got. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. After this is over, I'll go back and read, and I can try and answer them if you want to know about process or materials I use. Happy to answer those. So we're going to go ahead and I think we got 2 minutes left, but we'll wrap up and go over to Billy Vinny's channel and watch. I think he said he's going to do some resin pour with some wood and resin, and he's going to be turning a wine stopper. So go check that out. Thanks, guys.